Good morning. My name is Penny Myers, and I want to talk to you about grief part 2. Grief has more than one part and more than two parts. There can be many parts. Don't underestimate grief. Grief is hard to explain how it can affect you. And you can be affected by a loss by suicide, an attempt of suicide, a financial loss, your job loss, a position loss, who you were before the trauma or the event happened. What I'm talking about is my website, thesurvivorseries.com, talks about the traumas in my life. And I know my grief from my son's suicide triggered many traumas in my life. And I wrote about them. It triggered my grief that I had not grieved well when I lost my 4-year-old daughter in 1984. It also triggered my grief of my childhood. My childhood upbringing was physically, mentally, verbally, and sexually. There was abuse. I never talked about it, ever, because it was hidden deep down inside of me. And I don't have a good relationship with my family because of it. I know what happened to me in my lifetime. And my son's suicide, the grief triggered many past grief I was holding. When my daughter died at age 4 in 1984, I had to keep going. I was so traumatized. I was in shock. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I didn't believe what had just happened. I didn't know how to believe it happened. How would I ever live another moment at the age of 24, newly married, and losing my firstborn child? She was the firstborn on my married side and the secondborn on my family side. There's so much celebration when you have a child. There is no celebration when they die. And she had a long-term illness. So she was sick for 3 years before she died. Suicide death is a grief unimaginable. My childhood grief was unexplainable. Ultimately, all ending in a divorce, a trauma, 38 years of marriage. It was trigger after trigger, grief after grief. I grieved. Who the hell am I? Who was I before I was married? Who was I growing up as a child? Who am I now? I didn't know. I had to write my books. I had to write my books because when I was walking, I had messages telling me it was time to detox. It was time to get rid of the trauma, the grief, my moods, my emotions, my behavior. All of this was unexplainable. Why am I thinking like I'm thinking? I'd have bits of spurts of energy. Of course, over many years, I sought help unsuccessfully, but I did not give up. That spark inside of me, that firefly spark I talk about in my interview with Susan Axelrod, it's about survival. My website was created for the sole purpose of self-heal and self-care. In turn, it's to help many people that have experienced a trauma or multiple traumas in their lifetime or events that gave them unexplainable moods, emotions, behaviors, thinking, and lack of energy, and unsuccessfully seeking help, just not finding what was helping them. I talk about the raw experiences, the raw emotions, and how it really was in life. It was a struggle. It was a challenge. Many times I questioned, why the F am I here? What am I here for? What's my purpose? What will I do in life? I thought it was to get married and have kids. Every bit was touched by trauma. Today, at 64, I'm still here. I question sometimes why, but I truly believe I'm here to offer resources, education to those struggling with challenges. Don't give up. Keep going. That's life. That's what life is. Keep going. Get through the trauma, get through the struggles and challenges to be here tomorrow and the next day. That's what life is. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.